I see a red box. Inside that red box, the word live. I'm consulting my host manual. That, in fact, means we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, truly excited to have this gentleman on. Been waiting for this one for a while. And not that he needs one, but Teddy, I'm going to put you on the spot and ask if you would do the honors of introducing yourself to the fine fans out there.
Yeah, sure. My name is Teddy Thompson. I am a singer and a glasses model as well in my spare time. I do some optical modeling, they call it.
And, and a fine job at that, I might add.
Thank you.
And I want to let everybody know we're celebrating an absolutely wonderful album from this gentleman. A long time coming, again, from the incredibly talented Teddy Thompson. 6 years in the waiting. Not that I was counting, but it was 6 years, and it was worth the wait. It's entitled Never Be the Same. 10 brand new tracks. We're going to get down to it. But first, please buckle up. Let's kick this show off. Brendan, if you would, please roll the video.
Thank you, Steve. You made it very easy for me.
Well, that video gets me amped up, but I have to say I was already amped up, knowing that Teddy was coming on tonight. And I'm Steve Harkins, your host for the Rock and Roll Channel and Talk Shop Live. Once again, please welcome to Talk Shop Live's Rock and Roll Channel, the amazingly talented, the one, the only, accept no imitations, Teddy Thompson. And this is the first of hopefully many installments of Teddy Talk here on the Rock and Roll Channel. So, Teddy, thanks so much for being here.
You're very welcome. Yeah, Teddy Talk. It's a sort of a less intellectual TED Talk.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure I can further lower the bar. So proud to be a participant for sure. And Teddy, where do we find you this fine evening?
I'm at home. I live in Brooklyn, New York.
Nice. That's nice. Weather is fairly reasonable, I think.
It was a beautiful day, and no complaints after the winter we had.
No doubt. Long time coming for sure. And I just want to remind the fans, if you'd like to ask Teddy a question, you have a comment, use the chat function, and we'll get to as many as possible. Teddy, one of the things that I feel is is my duty to bring up is that, I know you're commonly associated with being an entertainer or providing entertainment, but, today's somewhat contentious times, I have to say that what you do is extraordinarily important. You bring people together, whether you're setting foot on stage or you're introducing a new album. It doesn't matter what the religious, conviction is or political affiliation. You bring people together on a unified front. I think it may be one of the only common threads that we have these days. So thank you for what you do.
Yeah, yes, people are divided, but yeah, we try. We play the music, and that's what we do.
And we're thankful for it. Absolutely. And congratulations on this fantastic new album. Long time coming, as I said, never be the same. You've got to feel really good about this one, Teddy.
Do I?
I'm thinking.
Can't I feel terrible about it like I do about everything else?
Oh, please don't say that.
Just
You
kidding.
delivered a great album.
Thank you. Yeah, I do feel good about it. I'm, I haven't been making it for 6 years straight. Trust me, it didn't take that long. But yeah, it's been percolating for a while, and the songs have, and it's nice to have them out and realized.
No doubt about it. And this is produced by David Mansfield, and fans should somewhat be familiar with his work. But can you kind of share how did you connect with David, and also from your perspective as an artist and a songwriter, what did he bring to the table as a producer?
David Mansfield, for those that don't know, is a multi-instrumentalist, and he started out at the tender age, I believe, of 17 in Bob Dylan's band.
Yeah.
He was in the Rolling Thunder Review, and if you've ever seen that documentary, which I forget what it's called, probably Rolling Thunder, you can see clips of David Mansfield rolling around, playing the fiddle in his underwear on roller skates. So I'm not saying that there were drugs involved. I'm just saying that it was a time when it would not be unusual for there to be drugs involved. So,
Exactly.
but David is an extraordinary musician. His father was a classical musician in the New York Philharmonic, no less. And so David Mansfield grew up with musical training, which is most of us don't have real musical training,
Right.
but also in an era of rock and roll and 60s and 70s, and he wanted to do that, but he has great um, technical ability, and he can read music and write music that can be played, and he can also play every instrument off the cuff. So he's an incredible musician. I can't speak highly enough of his musicianship, and he's an even better human being. He's somebody that I was excited to see every day. I just was happy to go in there and just to hang out with him. And he's made himself into an amazing record producer. So,
Yeah. How did you connect with him?
well, I've known him for a little while, through just as a musician, through just friends, really. He's a little bit older than me. He's probably in his mid-60s now.
Yeah.
So, but he's just an East Coast guy. So I live in New York now, and I'd run into him. We'd played together a little bit on a few projects, but never really worked together in the studio until the album before this. Actually, he produced I did a country covers record called My Love of Country, and
Right.
he and I worked on that together. And it
Huh.
was such a phenomenal experience that I said, "Let's do another one, please."
And no truth to the rumor that, the only demand you had was that he had to show up to the studio fully clothed, not in his
That's right.
underwear.
Yes, that was yes, very good. I was insistent that having seen that footage, that please don't
Might
repeat that look.
might take the ambiance or the spirit of the sessions, to another dimension that one may not wanna go to, so
Yeah, and if anybody's gonna be in their underwear in the studio, it should be the artist, really.
yes, right. That's exactly right. You got your priorities straight for sure. That's certainly the way it should be. And, tell us the story behind the title. I thought that was kind of interesting, how you came up
Yeah,
with it.
well, I didn't have a title for the record, and we finished all the songs, and the thing was complete, and then I thought, I need a title, and what none of the song titles really felt like they wanted to be the title of the record. So I was looking through the lyrics, writing them down, for the packaging and all that stuff, and I was struck that I said "never be the same," or "will I ever be the same" in a couple of different songs, and then I looked at the subject matter as a whole, and there is quite a theme of change or the lack thereof.
That's right.
That's a little bit addictive, a little bit compulsive thing that I have, and I like things to be, I like repetition, but it's not very good for me. That's my fight. I have to fight against that urge.
Understood. Understood. I love as a fan and a listener that you came up with a title where there is no track associated with it in terms of the title.
Yeah.
Specifically because I find I get more engaged, because now I'm like, "Okay, when is the title track gonna come up?" And now I'm feeling like I'm on a mission, and I have to find out where when is it gonna show up? And I'm like, "Well, okay, is he holding that back for the next album?" Or, what's the story behind it? So I appreciate you sharing that background.
Yeah.
And the album cover art, what a great cover. So, tell me about that one as well. It had to be a fun, photo shoot, and who came up with the concept?
I came up with everything. I,
Did you?
I'm I'm the Sven guy. I do everything.
I love it.
Well, no, it's yeah. I mean, I sort of did in the end, but here's what happened. We had, once you make the record, you start to talk about with the label that's going to put it out, and whoever else is helping you. Okay, we need some. Well, we know we need photos because we need to put some photos on the album cover.
Right.
and the physical and all that and the digital. But we also, these days we need video content. And so we were talking about this, and it's tough to make more than one video. They're expensive. They can take time, even with the even you can do it with your phone. It's still an enterprise, and it costs a bit of money.
Right.
And so I came up with the concept of, instead of making one video, which is about what's affordable initially, why don't we make four or five, snippets, if you will, sort of short videos, thinking that really people are only watching 30 seconds of these things these days anyway. So
Right.
why put all your eggs into the basket of one 3.5 minute song when you could make 5 30-second songs? So that's how it started. But they turned out, and so what we did is I went up to my friend's place at upstate New York,
Yeah.
the great Jenny Moldau. Hi, Jenny. And we borrowed her house, and we did a sort of kamikaze day of shooting, where we dressed me up. I came up with the concepts before. Okay, I'm going to dress up like this for this song and this for this song, and then
Right.
we just ran through them, and we did them just a couple of takes. I lip sync, sang and danced around, and when we were finished with each setup, with each song that we were, doing the clip for, we would quickly go and do, with the great photographer I had, Ethan Covey, we would do some stills at the end
Yeah.
of, it's like literally 30 seconds, like, okay, done. We have to move on to the next one. So it was really by the seat of our pants. And that's how that came about, with all the different looks. And then after we'd done all that, and we looked at everything, we had all these different looks side by side. And I think it was my friend Kevin at the record label that's releasing this album who came up with it, because he was looking at them side by side, and he said they look really cool tiled like that.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. Are you a fan of Nick Lowe's at all?
Yeah,
I
well,
it
yes.
it felt like a homage to some degree too for well, here the album was, named differently, I think, than in the UK, and there were some more tracks on the UK version of Pure Pop for Now People, I believe it was.
It wasn't called Jesus of Cool in America?
It wasn't, which is a far better, title, is Pure Pop for Now People.
Oh, I bet. I'm sure we know why that title didn't fly here. That was
Ye
too risky.
yeah, today it'd be totally embraced, I'm sure.
Maybe.
Maybe not.
But yes, I'm a big Nick Lowe fan, and I know him a tiny little bit. I've spent a few minutes with him here and there, and I'm friends with his wife a little bit. And
Yeah,
he's an absolute, he is the cool. He's the guy we all idolize, as like, wow,
yeah,
who to be. That's who to be always, but it's especially who to be as you get older. Like, everybody wants to be
you're
Nick.
right. You're
So
exactly right.
he is
Yeah.
the example for us all.
Tell us about your influences. A bit varied from what I understand, but I'm curious if you could share it with everyone.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I grew up being enamored, totally enamored of American pop and country music from the mid '50s.
Yeah,
So the first thing I ever heard that made me love music was the Everly Brothers,
yeah,
and my ears were pricked up, and I was, now I'm into music. Wow, this is music. Yeah, okay, I love this. And so I went from the Everly Brothers to, other things of that era, like Buddy Holly and Chuck Berry, big Chuck
right,
Berry as a songwriter, like,
right.
and apart from anything else. And yeah, and then on to a bit of, Hank Williams and some more actual country stuff. So yeah, that's where it started. So I was an unusual 10-year-old in North London in 1986. Let me tell you.
You're going back to the kind of the roots of, what we now know as rock and roll music.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the beginning of it all to me. It's I've said this a few times, but I starting with the Everly Brothers did have the effect of making everything else since then seem a bit downhill.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't know I
exactly.
was
Ours pretty high there.
yeah, exactly. I didn't know I was starting with the very best.
Yeah, yeah, you absolutely nailed it for sure, and, we'll kinda break it down, but there are certainly some elements, in the tracks on this album of some of those musicians and songwriters that you cited as influences, which is great, and then you take it to a whole 'nother level. You put your stamp on it, your thumbprint, for sure, which is how great music is made. All of the great artists, take, kind of their influences and add their elements, take it to a whole nother level.
Yeah, hopefully. I never tried to be really any of those people exactly. I never felt that I wanted to be to make music that was exactly in any of those genres. But I was, deeply affected by all of that stuff. And as you say, I think for I think if you're going to be a songwriter, which I always aspired to be, both my parents are writers, and I always thought that was part of the deal. So I went in thinking that way. And I think if you're a songwriter, then you know from that you're going to be trying to be yourself,
Yeah.
essen and be something new, and that you're not gonna try and imitate exactly anyone. You're just gonna take these influences as osmosis, really, and see what comes out of your mouth.
I'm glad you brought up, your parents are both, incredibly talented, and so, I'm very curious how what kind of an impact that had on you specifically when you chose your path or the path chose you sometimes, as the case may be in music. Um, First of all, were they supportive of that decision? And also, did you feel somewhat of a weight because of what they were established in terms of, what path you took? Because for me and the outside looking in, it seems very clear that you took the path that, spoke to you musically, that you weren't trying to mimic or imitate what your parents brought to the table, although there's some elements of that. But I'm just curious, we've had Julian Lennon on, although his situation is far more unique, and
Mm.
he had to carry a somewhat of a burden, with his father being John Lennon and then wanting to be an artist and, how do you present yourself musically in those challenges?
Yeah. Well, I always felt very grateful and quite aware that my parents weren't John Lennon or Leonard Cohen or, Michael Jackson or any, someone or I was and I knew some people who did have more famous parents than
Yeah.
me. Moved to LA when I was quite young, and I met a few people. I became good friends with Rufus Wainwright, whose
Yeah, right.
whose parents are sort of in the same about the same fame level as mine, which is to
Yeah.
say, more critically acclaimed than famous, which is perfect, really. But we also knew a couple of we ran into a couple of kids of more famous people, and I thought, wow, that seems rough, very difficult. So I'm grateful that I didn't feel like I had that burden. And as you say, the music that I was drawn to was really quite different than the music that my parents made. Although, ironically, as I'm sure you can surmise, they were the ones that introduced me to this music. I mean, where else
Right.
was I going to hear the Everly Brothers in the '80s in London? It was in the car with my dad. He was trying, some different stuff to see if he could turn us on to something that he could stand to listen to, rather
Abs Yeah.
whatever kid stuff we were into. So, yeah, I mean, but so I never felt a too direct of a comparison, frankly, and I didn't feel encumbered at all. I feel a little more. I feel a little closer to them musically now, and I certainly can hear some more of their influences in me. I mean, I think there is something sort of cosmic and magical about the m the music from the land that you come from, if you
Right.
know what I mean.
Right.
But
I
there
do.
is something about it. There is something like they call it roots music because it really is like in the earth that you stand on when you're growing up. There's something about,
Yeah.
British, folk music that I'm very moved by, and I really feel, and there's a little bit of me, um, of that in my music, maybe
It's
not.
from the heart it's from the heart and soul, it's from within, I mean,
Yeah.
unquestionably.
Yeah, I think so, no matter where you're from, even if you play something that's a little type of music that's not necessarily the roots music of where you're from, I think that's always in there, like, wherever you come from, there's some strong connection.
Absolutely, and, I'm also curious, about the songwriting process. To me, it's a fascinating thing and that, if it was, easy to emulate, to be a great songwriter, there would have been one book or one manual we all would consult, in which case, I guess great music would cancel other great music out. It wouldn't be great, it'd just be common, but usually it seems like there's 2 schools of methodology or a combination, and one is where you're kind of a vessel, for lack of a better term, where you'll randomly hear, a melody line or, maybe, a line that's a lyric, or you'll turn into a lyric, or even a riff of sorts that'll be the basis for building on a song, and then there's others who will say, "Okay," it's kind of like a woodshed approach. We sit down and you say, "Today, I'm dedicating 5 or 6 hours just to see what comes out," and as I was saying earlier, sometimes it's a combination of both, so I'm curious with you, Teddy, because the material is absolutely stellar. I mean, you have a history of writing some great music. This album in particular, just great songs. So, I'm just curious, how was the process, especially for this album?
Yeah, I think it's something that everybody has to discover for themselves what the best way is for them to work, to write. And I have tried different ways, and I think I wrote maybe a bit differently or had a different idea about it when I was starting out. When I was younger, but I basically, arrived at I was going to say a system. That doesn't sound very cosmic and artistic, does
Yeah, right, creative, right, yeah, but I
it?
understand.
Yeah, I arrived at a way of working which basically really caters to my extremely lazy nature, which is that I don't want to sit down at a desk every day and
Yeah,
try and do this thing. I don't think musicians get into music to try to, to really do it for 5 hours a day. We get into it because it seems easy.
that's right. It's not a factory line where you're just
Yeah.
pumping out great music.
Yeah, so I tend to have, I tend to pick up the guitar every day and strum a bit, but very often I'm doing other things. I'm watching a movie in the background or something, and then it's just sort of it's just part of my life. And then I tend to have a few songs on the go. I mean, I definitely come up with little melodies here and there, or I hear a little phrase, and I think, oh yeah, that's good, and I write that down. I make little notes, but I don't really sit down and do the woodshed, the work part that you're talking about, which is crucial. But I don't sit down and do that until I'm quite far along with the just thinking about it. And
Yeah,
I do a lot of writing in my head before I get to sit down. So I find that, going for a walk and just walking, if I've been playing something and working on it, I try and, it stays in my head. And yeah, and then once I've got 4 or 5 and I think, "Oh, this could become, the next record," and I've got, a reason. I like to have a reason and a deadline to sit down and do the work bit, which is the rough part. That's where
absolutely.
you
Do
have to make it into a cohesive thing.
uh, there's that special thrill, kinda like when you set foot on stage, and that connection, it's just kind of that out of body experience, but, similarly, when so you must have a tendency sometimes to recognize that something really special, comes out of that process, and it's not to say that, that all songs don't have a connection with you, but every once in a while, there's something that really stands out, and it's gotta I don't even know if you can describe that feeling. First of when you create that song, but also when you go in the studio and you
Mm.
come out with the finished version of it where it's, a sense of magic, where you kinda scratch your head and go, "Where did that come from? Did that
Yeah.
really come from me?"
Yeah, 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 and that's not to be underestimated. That's the most, that's the magical part of the whole thing is when you when you find when something amazing happens or something clicks. And I mean, in the writing process, it tends to be, really, yeah, you do know. And I think we one who is writing, you know it more the more you do it. When
Yeah,
you're yeah, when you're starting out in your 20s and you're a teenager or whatever, and you're writing stuff, I don't think you really recognize the great things that you might have done. Um,
right.
not enough experience. But But now, yeah, when you've been working on something, especially, so sometimes it's the beginning. You're like, there's a chord progression or a tune or something, and you're like, oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
Nice.
exactly.
And then sometimes it's, the other satisfying thing for me is often at the end, as we were just talking about, finishing the song when you do have to sit down and try and flesh it out. There's some nice moments of almost, often lyrically, of almost, filling in that missing piece.
Right.
Where, you're trying to say something and you're trying to say it in a new way and fit it into the line that you have, and then you finally come up with it, and it's like the jigsaw, the last jigsaw piece
Are
going
are you
in. That's fine.
are you a tortured soul when it comes to sequencing? Because there's a flow, right, that you're trying to attain, and, I think that the opening track and the closing track seem like a really good fit, from me as a listener. But then
Good.
there comes a part where you have to come up with some kind of flow, and you're in a very, interesting position where, this format that died a unceremonious, death called vinyl for probably 20 some odd years is resurrected, and here you are coming out with a project where, it's you got this beautiful blue vinyl, for example, with this album.
Yeah.
So, now you have to think about side A or side 1 and side B and side 2, so it's kind of subsetting, a subset of sequencing as well.
Yeah, it's really, I can't take any credit for the sequencing. I'm horrible at sequencing, and I'm really bad at set lists as well. So I deferred to the wonderful David Mansfield on this, and
Yeah.
yes, of course, the question of, oh, vinyl. So I've always been a big fan of the two halves, even if it's even if it's just for the CD or the digital. I always liked it. It always made sense to me to have
Yeah.
5 songs and then 5 other songs, kind of. In fact, I used, a couple of records I've made, even when I didn't press up vinyl, I wasn't given the option a
Yeah.
couple of times, but I left a gap, between songs 5 and 6, so it felt like 2 halves.
Is that right? How
Yeah,
ingenious, what a great idea.
I'm not sure I came up with that either, but thank you
Well,
for
that's
the
okay, you can take credit.
yeah,
Whoever came up with it probably, wouldn't remember, but
they probably
Uh,
did.
but it's like live theater in a sense too, isn't it? Where, you get that moment where you can kinda you get that break where it's 1 act, 2 acts,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you kinda reflect a little bit, pause and reflect and take that in and go, "Wow, did I just go through that?" And then on to the and on to the
Yeah,
next
just
round.
go through that. Oh my god. Yeah, and also if you hate it, you can just stop, after the first side, so to speak. You can there's a
That's true. Yeah, you don't have to, try to figure out, that you can't reclaim all 45 minutes of your
yeah,
life that you just spent,
there's
but
the intermission where you can walk out of this play.
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Although with ticket prices now, it's like you just cross your fingers and hope, maybe there'll be a comeback. Listen, a lot of fans there, a lot of passionate fans. Sean is saying, congratulations, Teddy, and thanks so much for taking the time to do this show. Tanya is saying, love Teddy. This is so cool. And then Kat is asking, what's the inspiration behind this album? It sounds like it's a series of songs. I don't want to put words in your mouth. It wasn't necessarily a conceptual, right?
Yeah, I'm not a conceptual, s album maker. I've never really I don't have that kind of self-regard and, forethought to s and self-awareness to look at
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
where I am in life, and say, "Yes, I'm really going through this incredible thing. I'm terribly important, and so I'm gonna write, a song cycle about this awful thing that I'm going through, which is, the death of my cat or whatever." I just
Right.
I've never had that view of myself. So yeah, I just tend to be writing songs, and then, I mean, the interesting thing for me is that what happens is that I tend to not really know what I'm writing about exactly. I mean, I know
Yeah.
what it's about, but I don't really know what the whole group of songs is about. And then I usually, when I'm finished with them, I look at them and go, "Oh wow,
Eh,
yeah, okay." I can
eh,
sort of see what was going on there.
Having said that, Teddy, do you still look at the process as, it's still a body of work when it's all said and done as opposed to a series of songs?
Yeah. I mean, that's the fun thing about making the record. The record making process to me is that it does take these different songs, this collection of songs that maybe don't feel like, a complete, group or a work or something like that, but it puts them into a structure, and it's very satisfying that, like, it makes them feel valid, makes them feel real
Yeah.
to have them put together in this beautiful sound and this beautiful package and this beautiful group, and you're like, "Yes, wow, I made something."
Makes perfect sense to me. Gerard saying, "I'm quite happy to see an album is forthcoming, and I pre-ordered." You are, like the poster child of the show, Gerard. Everyone do like Gerard and pre-order this great album. Thanks for being here. Kevin's also agreeing, saying, "Can't wait for this album." And also, Andy is saying, "Hey, live Teddy. Hey, Andy from Glasgow. Happy spring, Ted."
Wow, go to bed, Andy.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I hope he doesn't have to go to work in the morning.
Yeah, me too.
Uh, yeah, here's an interesting one. Daniel said you lost a ring up in New Hampshire a few years ago. Did you ever find it, Dan from Plum Island? Look at that. You remember.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my grandmother's wedding ring.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine the fright of thinking that I'd lost it?
I cannot.
I was mid-show when I looked at my finger and didn't see it, and
Just slipped off. It was on stage.
no, I was at the hotel.
Is that right? Okay. Wow.
Yes.
Talk about being anxiety stricken for probably 2 or 3 hours or longer.
Yeah, it was very difficult to finish the show, let me tell you.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, somebody was looking down on you. I suspect that was your grandmother.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what too, we are absolutely fortunate, to have this incredibly talented, gentleman with us, but, equally important, we're celebrating an absolutely wonderful album, long time coming, 6 years, in the waiting, as I said, entitled "Never Be the Same," 10 brand new studio tracks. The album, releases officially on Friday, May 15th. However, Rock and Roll Channel fans on Talk Live can purchase copies right here, right now. As I said earlier, it's available, on this beautiful blue vinyl, also available on CD for those of you that prefer that format, or buy 2, one of each. And it's Teddy's way of thanking you fine fans. He has graciously agreed to sign a limited number of copies purchased here on the Rock and Roll Channel Talk Shop Live. To order your copies, all you have to do is hit the shop button on Talk Shop Live on socials like Facebook or Instagram, comment the word shop, and we'll DM you a link. If some of you are watching this on YouTube, just click the link in the description. The rest is quick and easy and pain-free, unlike the slight arthritic condition that Teddy may have developed signing for you fine fans, but I believe he's well on the way to recovery. Small price to pay for taking care of fans, right? And there's no greater way to show truly how much you appreciate this amazing talent, Teddy Thompson, and his artistry, than by owning a copy of his newest musical body of work, Never the Same. Hey, Teddy, if you're okay with you, let's hear some of the music. I think that speaks volumes.
That's a good idea.
Excellent. That's my first good idea, right? You don't have to answer that if you don't want to. Let's check out the opening track from Teddy's forthcoming new album, Never Be the Same. Here's Come Back. Brendan, if you would, please roll the digital.
I fell into that place the other night where you and I would hold each other tight. And just my luck, the jukebox played our song. How I thought of how you did me wrong. But it's all in the game. It's all in the game. It's all in the game. I gave into the wonder of it all, and thinking I could love you all the time. But it's all in the game. It's all in the game. It's all in the game.
Well, I think I got the sequence wrong. That was not the opening track, was that?
No, your sequencing is just as bad as mine. It's
Oh,
horrible.
look at that, man. I will definitely turn it over to the producer for sure. That was The Game, which is another great track. But to talk about that, you were mentioning your influences.
Yeah.
I was just with some twins who have the last name Nelson. I hear a little Ricky Nelson in there, along with a little bit of the Everly Brothers, and even a little bit of Roy Orbison.
Yeah. Yes, that those are all good comparisons. Yeah, there's a little bit of that, and yeah, that's probably the most stylized kind of song. It's a little bit of an intentional throwback to those kinds of sounds, a little bit of an homage.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd also like to throw in, and I've picked up on this, just like Nick Lowe is influenced by some of your influences. Another one that comes to mind with this track, it has some elements of some of the great Marshall Crenshaw tracks,
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, I like
in my
him.
opinion.
Okay, yeah. He's great. He's I'm definitely a fan of his. So yeah, these are all good things. You haven't, sometimes people go, that really sounds a lot like that you hate, which is you have not done, so that's good.
All right, give me time. I'm hopeful that won't
Yeah.
happen.
Okay.
I'm gonna crossing my fingers. I also have some great lyrics. I fell into that place the other night where you and I would hold each other tight. Again, kind of that vibe, nostalgic, great lyric. Just my luck. The jukebox played our song, and how I thought of how you did me wrong, which is, like just a classic heartbreaker, for sure. Love it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna see, Brendan, I don't know, these songs may have been mislabeled, so it'll kinda be like, the lottery system, the Teddy Thompson lottery system here, but I'm gonna go back and see if we can try to queue up, they may have been mislabeled, the opening track once again. This one is entitled, if we get this right, "Come Back." Brendan, if you would please do the honors and crossing my
I
fingers.
hope you've had some time to get on with yourself and figure out what's going on. I know you needed space to be all by yourself, or was it with some other one? Now can you come back? Can you come back to me? Can you come back? Can you come back to me? I said I hoped you were becoming someone else. I didn't mean it to suggest that who you are right now is not enough for me. I have to learn to take some care. Now can you come back? Can you come back to me? Can you come back? Can you come back to me? To me.
I'm taking credit, man. I called that one out. I was like, we have to play that track. It's a great opening track. I mean, just a great standout track, gorgeous. And just a set, so many infectious sets of hooks. And Teddy, I always had this rule of thumb that you can really note a great songwriter based on the bridge, because quite often a bridge feels like a necessary evil for songwriters, and they kind of shoehorn it in, for lack of a better term, where it almost sometimes is a bit of a letdown. But I find that most of what I would call your bridges, in this song for sure, takes it to a whole nother level. I mean, it adds energy and complements the song, not just, kind of plugs it in because a bridge has to be inserted there.
Yeah, I do. I kind of love a bridge now. I think that's also the practice of writing, you know, for uh, for a while now. Is yeah, I think I used to be afraid of the bridge and just try and put one in, as you say, because I felt like that was what you're supposed to do,
Right.
and it often sounded a bit forced. But now I'm really into it, and it's an opportunity to obviously do something different. And then what's really fun about the bridge is is getting back. So
Exactly.
that's where you have the opportunity to do something interesting. Often is to try and find your way back to the verse or the chorus.
So it still flows, right? So it doesn't feel like it fell from the sky
Yeah,
abruptly
yeah,
shifting, right?
yeah, yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah,
So,
and I always had this thought that, the reason why in a number of cases there weren't great bridges was that the songwriter would come up with a great bridge and go, "Oh, that's too good to be a bridge. I have to use that for another song."
oh, really? Oh, I
I don't
didn't.
know that for a fact. That was just, I was just surmising in some cases why sometimes those bridges would fall flat.
Maybe, maybe. I feel like the Beatles changed the bridge forever. That was a big part of their legacy.
Yeah.
They were just they were doing what we've just been saying you should do, which is just plastering completely different songs together, basically, and making a bridge out of it. But then they were so good that they then made it so meaningful and found a great way to get back afterwards, that I think we've all been very influenced by that. So now we feel like we can do anything.
I think that's fair. Yeah, that'd be a good turning point to for sure to share. I need real love, bit nostalgic musically. One of my favorite bands, and I think maybe you may have cited them as influencing you as well. Crowded House has a little bit of that sensibility, up tempo, great elements of pop and rock combined.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm a big Crowded House fan. They were a beacon of taste and musicality in an era that I was growing up in, which was, at the time at least, I felt was not really speaking to me, which is, like 80s,
Yeah,
90s kind of the stuff that was on Top of the Pops, the TV show, the big music TV show in England, was just
right.
compared to the Everly Brothers was just garbage, I thought. And so
Yeah,
when Crowded House came along, I had something contemporary to hang on to. So yeah,
like
I
the
was
skies opened up and spoke to you.
well, I wouldn't go that far. They weren't that good.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I'm just kidding.
No, but
I
yes, they were important because they proved that there was good music happening now and not just 30 years ago.
Absolutely. I remember, I think this kind of takes a page from what you were describing as far as your influence, that 50s, maybe early 60s kind of vibe. Terrific cut. Also, another great lyric. Every day from school, straight home I would go. From an abject fool to the center of the show. I can see you now, those pale rock pool eyes. I remember how you gave me something mine. And, it's writing a good lyric is, again, it's not an easy thing to do. And that one, that one really spoke to me. It's a great track.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, writing lyrics is, again, I think I've improved, and I think there's nothing like failure to help you improve. And I've definitely failed a lot. And the way that I know that I failed, which is a great learning tool, is that, often when you are writing a song and you get to the second verse or something, you might just go, "Oh, that's good enough." And then what happens is you go on tour for the next 20 years and you have to sing that second verse every night.
Yeah.
And and it's really annoying. You're like, wow, I really think I should have tried harder because that's as good as it could. And so that's often my motivation to try and do lyrically as good as I can. And yeah, you want to be able to. It's not just that that you might have to sing something that's not as good as where you didn't do your best, but it's
Right.
really like in order to sing the song every night, you have to get into it, and so you really need those lyrics to be meaningful, all of them to you, so you can find a way in emotionally, so you can perform it, well every night.
That's right, and, I think those that maybe are not familiar with the experience of writing a song, you need to really dial in at the level that you're referring to, but also there still has to be that meter, that rhythmic aspect of the lyrics themselves too, right? To serve the song or work in conjunction with the music.
Yeah, I mean, that's that in a nutshell. I guess that's the art of songwriting is you have to have something to say, and it has to be heartfelt and authentic. But then you have to fit that
Yeah,
into this, into this framework that you've developed. So it's not as simple as just saying what you feel. You have to, you have to try and come up with some artistry to to put the whole thing together, and hopefully something, you're also basically trying to say the same thing in a new way that, which is
that's right.
fanciful, really, but that's what we're all trying to do, even though there's, we have hundreds of years of songs and people saying "I love you." We're trying to say it in a different way, a
That's
different
exactly right.
the words in a different order.
That's exactly right. Carrie, saying, "Oh, hello," and was there a track on this album that surprised you the most once it was finished?
Uh, I would say, quite a lot of them. Maybe "Same Old Song" because I would say what's surprising about wonderfully surprising about that song, and there's a few others too where I had this experience where was lucky enough to have this great producer, David Mansfield. And so a lot of the time, what you're getting when you get a great producer is somebody elevating your music to a place that you didn't know was possible. So they're coming up with ideas that you didn't think of. Uh,
Right.
and so, yeah, there was a few times, and definitely Same Old Song, where I came into the studio and David had added a lot of things to it, you know, overnight, so to speak. And then I went in and heard the stuff, and he's like, "Oh, what do you think of this?" And there were a few times where I was just like, "Wow,
Yeah, right.
amazing! Oh my goodness!" And Same Old Song was really, is just so beautiful what he played instrumentally. It's really, I think I may have shed a tear.
There you go. You're allowed for sure, and, we're also allowed to celebrate, again, a great night and that, the incredibly talented Teddy Thompson, for 6 years of us fans waiting, has delivered an absolutely brilliant album entitled "Never Be the Same." 10 brand new studio tracks, officially releasing on Friday, May 15th, but you can purchase copies right here and right now on TalkShopLive, and it's available both on CD and this beautiful blue vinyl. But that's not all. The man has graciously agreed to sign a limited number of copies for you fine fans out there. So to order your copies, hit the shop button on Talk Shop Live on socials such as Facebook and Instagram. Comment the word shop. And if you're watching this on YouTube, all you have to do is just click the link in the description. The rest is quick and easy. We were just talking about it, and I'll tell you, Teddy, when I just kind of stumbled on, I think it was the first day this was released, your video, and I heard the song and I made every call I could, and I said, I got to have this guy on. This song is brilliant. The album has got to be great. And of course, I'm referring to "So This Is Heartache." And with that, Brendan, if you would, please roll the video for us.
So this is heartache. I've heard about it. I know a thing or two best. Is it any wonder sing about it. It's your whole world in on itself. And do I ever feel the pain? I think I'll never be the same. So this is heartache all over again. So this is heartache all over again. I was the founder, had it my own way. I would think only of myself.
Okay, this is the part where the fans get really irate with the host, and it says, "Steve, how can you cut off such a brilliant track?" And this is the part where I say, "Well, you have to buy it to hear the rest of it." And trust me, that the latter half is just as brilliant as the first half. But I heard the song, and honestly, I'm not just saying this, Teddy. This is about as perfect a song as one can deliver. Stellar standout vocals, heartfelt, and this is a track that sounds and feels so familiar. No plagiarism involved. It's just the mark of a great song. Wonderful production as well. And stick my neck out, which is not really saying a whole lot when you listen to the song. But this one's going to be an instant, timeless classic in my book. Just will stand the test of time. Just love this track.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, really sounds good to me. It's yeah, when you work on something and you obviously spend a lot of time and you've played it before, you've played it several times and you've spent some time recording it. It's always a good sign when it sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah.
When I hear it, I'm not horrified. I'm often horrified by everything I do. I'm like, is that really any good? So yeah, I'm pleased, and I give a lot of credit to David. I can't overemphasize how important his contribution was. It's like it doesn't matter how good the performance is, how good the voice is or the performer. It doesn't really matter how good the song is if the person that's capturing that sound isn't also exceptional. Because
That's right.
so yeah, credit to David and to the musicians that played on it.
Yeah. Yeah. They seem like a unified front. And I don't have to tell you, you can't manufacture chemistry, right? You can have a series of great musicians, but sometimes it just doesn't mesh.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's true, but the thing that really that amazes me about the great musicians who that you get to play with is that they can make that happen. You
Yeah.
know, they're
Right.
not like they do it. I mean, it's just amazing what they do. They can play on 5 records a day, and they can make that magic happen just by being so good. You know,
Yeah. And
so
I think that's because they're, you're right. I mean, I would add that it's because they understand that they're there to serve the song, not themselves in terms of standing out,
that's right. That's right.
right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, any great player is serving the song. So Charlie Drayton is the drummer. Great drummer. Has played with a lot of great people,
Yeah.
including Bob Dylan for a while. Another Dylan, ex-Dylanite,
Yep.
and Tony Scher, who's a legendary New York bass player who plays with Bill Frisell and some serious cats. So yeah, those guys are amazing. They just it's it's the without that foundation, nothing is going to be great.
You're exactly right. And, in fairness to the drummer, we're not sure what he was wearing. He was behind a kid. He could have been in his underwear when he was playing with Dylan, but I'm gonna say he probably didn't. I'm gonna go out
Probably
on a limb.
not. He's not an underwear kind of player.
It's not the type. Worst 2 weeks of my life. First of all, great title, yet another killer track, fantastic vocal, the chord progression, melody line. It's another one that really spoke to me.
Thank you. Yeah, it was something of a on the fence song. It was a little bit out of out of my normal range. Well, my normal singing range actually. At the beginning, it was just
Wow.
something
Yeah.
sort of had had on the side, and was, I didn't wasn't taking it very seriously, let's say, as a song, but it persisted and it stuck in my head when I was over the time I was writing these songs, and then, when I looked at it, I just thought it had something, and I thought the lyrics were strong enough, and yeah, it was just good enough, but it wasn't clear that it was going to be. So I'm happy that it made it on the record because, yeah, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, absolutely. Baby, It's You, we're gonna play it on the outro. This one, it's like a fine wine. I love the slide guitar bits in there too, kind of a little reminiscent of George Harrison. It just seemed like if he sat in a session, it felt to me like those are parts he might come up with. Again, serving the song, not overdoing it.
Yeah, well, that's Mansfield again,
Yeah.
tasteful is the word.
Tasteful's the word I was, yeah, struggling to come up with, and that's exactly right. I'll tell you what else is tasteful and then some. This, absolutely great new album, The Man Before You, has delivered, and that's the incredibly talented Teddy Thompson. It's Never Be the Same, 10 brand new studio tracks. The wait, is almost come, to an end. We're 10 days away and the countdown is on. Rock and Roll Channel fans on Talk Shop Live can purchase their copies right here, right now. Available on beautiful blue vinyl as well as CD on Talk Shop Live. Just hit the shop button on Instagram or Facebook. Just comment the word shop. We'll DM you a link. And if you're watching it on YouTube, just click the link in the description. But these are limited. The man has graciously signed copies. Once they're gone, they're gone. Make up your mind. Contemporary country vibe rife with again your uncanny ability to deliver great hooks and also someone familiar to you added some guitar licks to this song.
Yeah, that song has a guitar hook that happens in the chorus and starts off the whole song, and it's my dad. It's the
Yeah,
legendary Richard Thompson.
how great, how great. Yeah, it's only appropriate for sure. And then we have Not What I Need. Again, another one with a great lyric, and then same old song. And I'm just kind of rushing through this because I want to hit on all of them because they're equally, brilliant tracks that stand out. But same old song, wonderful closing track, distinctly unique. Again, I think musically, and yeah, and I thought that that seemed like the perfect closer for sure. And Teddy, I just want to get in. What does the balance of the year hold for you? I believe, and I'm hoping some live dates. Correct?
Yeah, yeah, quite a lot of them. So yeah, you can find the tour dates on teddythompson.net or just on a search engine. And yeah, I'll be in the UK in June, and then I'll be all around the US in bits and pieces for the rest of the year. So you
And
can,
I'm hopeful that the set list will include some choice material from the album.
yeah, almost all of it, I would imagine. Yeah, we'll
Outstanding.
see if I can pull it live.
There we go. I have a funny feeling you're going to deliver, sir. And before we let you go, we'd like to thank all the fans for being here this evening and for their support. And also a special thanks to Kevin Calabro from the Royal Potato family. No, not Mr. Potato Head. That's actually the name of the record company and a great one at that. And Kevin, thanks for all of your help. And to Missy Colazzo, without whom this would not have happened. I said, we have to have this guy on. This seems like such a great record. So thank you for connecting us. And our great ally, Jake Anderson, as well from the Orchard and also the fine folks that help deliver these albums at All Media Supply, and also to Brian, Sandy, Tina, Brad, Joe, Kathy, Jenny, Lavani, Marty, Kate, Sam, and behind the scenes, Brendan doing a great job, all from Talk Shop Live. But most importantly, to Teddy Thompson for continuing to provide his musical gifts for all of us. We need Teddy more than ever. Teddy, before we part company, last words you'd like to share with the fans out there.
Free Palestine.
There we go. On that note, I'll tell you what, pick up this new album. And again, you will not be disappointed. This is a gift that keeps on giving. And that gift is, of course, the magic of music. The man is absolutely delivered. While you're at it, pick up copies for your friends and family. Spread the gospel of Teddy Thompson, this great record, and your friends and family will thank you for it. You've worked hard this year. You deserve it. And having a good authority will enhance everyone's quality of life. Also, a great reminder why people should invest in a great set of headphones. This album sounds amazing. Going through that experience. Teddy, thank you so much for being here, man. I really appreciate it and love the record.
Thank you so much for having me. You've made it a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. And I hope we could do this again sometime.
Likewise.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing you on the road. And with that, everyone, stay safe, enjoy life, and rock on. Before you tune out, listen to this last great track. So long, everybody. Thanks again, Teddy.
And I find a way to get back in now. It's been a long, 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 long time, but I have a notion where I'm going, and a picture in my mind. Baby, it's you I'm looking for. Baby, it's you that I want. Baby, it's you I'm crying out for. Baby, it's you that I love. I don't like the way that I've been living, treading so carefully over anyone who's a reminder of the thing I really